Hi, everyone. This is Julie Roth-Novak. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. We're just going to wait a minute or two for people to join. I have the one and only Lauren Mendel here with me, our amazing marketing director, who is
Hi, everyone.
my co-chair, my sidekick for these educational events. I always feel more secure, Lauren, knowing that you're here with me in case anything were to go wrong with my Wi-Fi or I can't answer a question. So thank you, Lauren, for
I
being
got your I got your back in case the dog comes in, but the dog
uh,
is welcome. I think the dog should come in.
the dog's taking a nap over here next to me. So yeah, that's the new world of COVID-19, kids, dog, craziness. So
The new normal.
yeah, last time when I did my presentation, when the kids came in that weren't invited, people actually liked that part. So my phone actually lit up and people were excited. So maybe it's the unplanned things that make this more authentic experience. So
It's very relatable. I think we can all relate to that.
yeah, so I'm seeing people join the group from New York. I see from Philly, from Colorado, from New Orleans. We had over 500 people register for email best practices, and I'm actually really excited to see the interest in this category because I feel like email is sometimes the ugly stepchild of digital marketing. And I have to tell you, email marketing is one of the most powerful digital tools that you have. And I'm excited that people are interested in learning more about what we're doing. So I think we'll get started unless you think we should wait for some more people to join us.
No, I think feel free to ask your questions throughout. I'm monitoring the chat, as are a few other people behind the scenes. So we'll do questions throughout the presentation.
Yeah, I see people from Los Angeles, from Fort Lauderdale. This is really exciting. And I was
Yeah,
telling
so
Lauren, this
many
is my
people.
one day a week where I put makeup on. I even do a little straightener on my hair. So I feel like I'm kind of back to some sense of normalcy. So thank you guys for joining us. We know there's a lot of webinars and digital events and Insta Lives. And I get to give my shout out to my team here, Lauren and Kylie. Helping with these digital events have been incredible. And this week, especially, shout out to Chelsea, who is our full-time email marketing expert, who's going to make me look smarter than I really am. Again, I have 20 plus years of digital experience, and I know enough about email to be dangerous, but she lives and breathes email for PartySlate every day. And I'm so happy to have her on the team. So why don't we get started? So again, our topic today is mastering email marketing and the 5 best practices to engage and convert your prospects. And I will tell you, when I started PartySlate 5 years ago, I knew enough about email to be dangerous. And I learned in the early days that email is such a critical part of reaching out to all your different stakeholders. So on the consumer side, we started an email newsletter very early on, sharing event insights and trends and our amazing premium members. And then on the pro side and the event professional side, just creating stronger relationships, raising awareness of the platform. Email played a really important role. So we've learned a lot over the last 4+ years. And today we're going to share some of those best practices. And Lauren, anything before we get started? And the dog might be barking, so I'm warning you guys.
No, I think we're all good.
Okay, good. It's too bad I cannot shush the dog and say, hey, I have 500 people on a webinar, because he doesn't understand that, but I will keep going. First of all, what's really important to understand about email marketing, it is an essential part of your overall digital marketing strategy. And one thing people may not realize, even younger generation, is, email is checked on a daily basis. For me, it's like an hourly basis. It is a very connective channel. And so unlike social media, where you come in and out, even those people that are on it all the time, email is always front and center for people. So it's a very kind of directed channel. Also, you own your subscriber list. So you've spent years creating relationships, your client list, your event partners. Those email addresses that you own are, again, marketing gold. You need to have, again, control of your list and have a really up-to-date list and use that as a marketing tool. I mentioned before, it's great for relationship building. Also, this group of people are hand raisers. They're people that have opted in for communication. And so those are the most engaged people, unlike social media where you may catch them or you may not catch them. Again, we're obsessed with Instagram. We love social media, but email is a great complement to social media. Also, it's cost effective. There's a lot of email platforms out there that are free or very low cost, monthly subscriber cost, and you don't pay for advertising like paid search or paid social. This is your channel that you own. So let's go through the agenda. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the 3 steps to getting started with an email program, 5 email best practices to engage and convert more prospects. Then I'm going to walk through how to grow your list. And again, many of you are doing a good job at this. Key metrics to look at, so how to benchmark yourself. And then I'm going to walk through what we do at PartySlate with our email marketing strategy, and hopefully some of the things we are doing that are successful, you can incorporate into your own. And then I always like to end with the 3 simple steps to putting your email marketing plan in place. And then of course we have some follow-up templates, best practices, articles for you to read and to put your own email marketing plan together. And again, I always like to say this, there's going to be some people on this call that are what I would call our email marketers, like more advanced. And there's some that are just getting started. So I've tried to create this. There's some things for everyone. There's the building blocks to your email marketing program, but there's also some more advanced A/B testing and other things that you can do. So the 3 simple steps, and Lauren, tell me if there's questions along the way.
Yep.
First, you have to select your email marketing platform. I can tell you there's about 500 email marketing platforms. There's probably about 10 leading platforms for small businesses. I know many people use Constant Contact, MailChimp. You also might have a CRM system that has an email component to it. It's really less important what platform you have, but more important, is it very easy for you to use and to incorporate into your regular digital marketing plan. The second thing you need to do is really define and segment your target audiences. And you may say, well, hey, I'm a small business, I just send the same email to everyone. I think what you might be surprised with some simple segmentation, you may get better open rates and better click-throughs to your content. So for example, you might want to think about 1 email going to past clients, 1 to prospects, 1 to your event professional, friendors or your network. I think that those messages may be different. And then you also, on the 3rd step, which is the most important, is really, what do you want to say? What's your content strategy and how are you going to schedule it out? And I know many people have asked me, well, how often should I send out a newsletter? Again, just to get started, I would suggest a monthly newsletter. If you have the resources and the time to do weekly, I think that's great. And you'll look at your opt-outs and see if you're sending too often. Think about, you want to talk about news, seasonal trends, maybe updates in your company, especially during this really challenging time. I am so inspired by many of you who have new service offerings that you want to talk about. People really are looking for ways to support small businesses. Email is a great way to tell people about those things. And then triggered emails are something like once someone signs up for your email newsletter and they subscribe, you might want to send an auto response or trigger emails even at, 1 year from the date of their wedding. You can set up emails that are automatically triggered based on dates. Again, that might be more of the advanced email marketing.
And we're getting a couple questions already, which is great.
Yeah.
The first one pertains to spam and how you avoid spam. We can actually send out with our email marketing template some best practices about how to try and avoid ending up in people's spam folders. So stay tuned for that. And then another question, Julie, is what do you think about templates and designing specifically for MailChimp versus another platform? And does a platform like MailChimp offer design tools specifically for creating those templates?
Yeah, and I'll answer and then you can add on, Lauren. But yes, all of these email platforms come with templates. I think in many cases, you're going to want to design something for your brand and go a little beyond what their templates are. But it's a good starting point. You can actually just design some simple graphics that drop into their template, so there's not a lot of work. And I guess the one thing I didn't mention here is, don't forget, you can do an email marketing campaign, and I do this a lot, that looks like a text email coming from you that isn't even in a template. And sometimes that is the highest open rate, when it actually just looks like a personal email from an individual. So don't forget about that. But yes, these come with templates, but you're going to want to have at least a little bit of design hours tied back to creating 1 or 2 templates that you can send. Maybe one that's like a newsletter template and one that's more of a promotional or, hey, come join my webinar template.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And Yeah, I think we got a follow-up question that feeds off of, the emails that come from you directly, Julie. Is it time to invest in a platform, or should I continue to use an Excel sheet with my email contacts and just send personal emails? I think it really depends on the type of email, and Julie's going to go through all the different types of emails. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So I think, the answer is, I can't tell you like how much time you have to dedicate towards email marketing, but even if you only have 2 hours a month, I think getting on a MailChimp or a very, very simple email marketing platform is a good investment of your time. So again, I can't speak for every single type of company and every type of event professional out there, but I do think email is such a valuable tool to build your brand and to drive leads and engagement. My sense is I would make the time to do a kind of an email marketing 101.
Perfect. Agreed.
Okay.
I think we're good for now. We're getting a couple more questions, but we'll save them as we go along.
Okay. I'm not sure how this came out of full screen, but I'm going to keep going. So I will. Okay. Now it's my dog. Lauren, stretch it out.
Well, Julie, let's ace out. We're also getting a question about how frequently you should be sending emails. So Julie mentioned once a month is a good starting point. And then I think, again, Julie's going to go through the specific types of emails, and those can be sent in different frequencies.
Yes. Okay. So we talked about getting started, the 3 steps. Let's talk about defining and segmenting your target audience just to get started. So really the first thing you want to know is who are you sending these emails to? And you want to group kind of like characteristics. So for example, you might have a group of prospects that you're kind of creating relationships with. You might have a group of clients that you've done events for over the last 5 or 10 years, and those are a slightly different message. And then you have your event partners. Again, you could have a segment for influencers. You could have multiple segments. I suggest you start with just 2 segments just to keep it really simple. And again, if you're just getting started, you might want to focus on just 1 email going to everyone. But you will find that if you're sending an email to your professional network, your tone and the content will be different than if you're sending it to your end client or prospect. And the reason to segment is it does lead to higher open rates because you're sending more relevant content for the different groups. And again, one other way you can segment is, for your bar mitzvah or your gala or your wedding couple, those are the type of people that you can really think through what type of email goes to each of those groups. You will see a higher click-through rate. So when PartySlate started doing segmented emails, our open rate and click-through rate really, really increased significantly. You're also going to see less unsubscribes. And so again, it sounds overwhelming, like, oh, segmentation, I can barely just do 1. Just think about if you had the time and energy to do this, what would your segments look like? You actually don't have to do segmented emails for your first phase, but you're going to think through like what types of content would be interesting to these different groups.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add, we got a question about, it seems overwhelming to segment, like how do I go about it? What's the best way to do it? And the previous slide, that's a lot of people that an event planner could possibly email. It doesn't mean you have to include everybody. Maybe you tackle mitzvah parents first, and then you have specific emails that go to people who have planned bar and bat mitzvahs in the past. So I would say narrow it down if it feels too overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think again, just 2 segments. So let's say you mainly do weddings and bar and bat mitzvahs. You could have 2 email newsletters and you rotate every other month. 1 month you're doing kind of a wedding focused email. The other month you're doing a bar and bat mitzvah. You're still just doing 1 email a month, but you're segmenting to make it more relevant. You may decide for your business, and PartySlate did this early on, that you're not going to segment. And again, I guess we did event professionals and consumers. We always had those 2. But the most important thing is you want to get your list in order. You want to have a platform, and you want to have a content strategy. And I would just say, think about your segments. If you're too overwhelmed to actually segment them out yet, just right away, don't do it. I don't want to scare people away. So for us, because we have a larger audience, we have 2 main segments. So we have event hosts. So those are brides and grooms, mitzvah moms, the high-end event corporate planners. And then we have our event professionals and venues. And oftentimes we will send out a venue-specific email that's different than event professionals. And again, even on our side, and we have 30 full-time people thinking about digital day in and day out, there's only so much segmentation you can do. We can't send 60 different emails, but we do have 5 or 6 different key segments that we send to. And when you're thinking about segmentation, so let's say you're a destination planner, you might have specific people that are looking for overseas destinations versus US destinations. You can think about what are their event interests, weddings, galas, etc. And then again, for more of a 202 versus the 101, you can think about previous email interaction on what they clicked through. And again, that's more advanced things that we do at PartySlate.
I think we got a great question about that, actually. So the idea that, maybe once bar and bat mitzvah clients are done with their event, they might fall into the wedding audience. So shouldn't you have a more general newsletter, perhaps, that appeals to all types of clients?
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about content strategy actually coming up, and we're going to talk about that because in many cases, surprisingly, what we found in our research is even brides and grooms really like to look at corporate events, and sometimes they even like to look at the themes for bar and bat mitzvahs in different colors. And so I'm not saying you should segment that way, but you should consider maybe once a quarter or something, a wedding specific thing that's focused on planning and things you should be thinking about. But again, that's really up to you and how much time and bandwidth that you have. Okay, so creating your content schedule. So you're again, this is back to some of the questions that we're getting. What types of emails should you send? How often should you send them? And really thinking about how do you leverage content that you already have that can be repurposed for an email. So I think emails are less about original content and more about how do you amplify content that already is there. So you should think about your past event photos and videos, your blogs, timely company news, new offerings. Anytime I know in our press webinar that we did, making news of your news. So if you get a press hit, actually making news about that. And then of course, things like speaking engagements. So what we do in our PartySlate weekly newsletter, and again, to someone's question about mixing events, we have found mixing events is good for our newsletter. So we'll show some amazing things. I know we featured this amazing social distance driveway graduation party that was done out in LA by an amazing group of event professionals. And then at the bottom of the page, we say articles that are trending on PartySlate. So I think it's really good to get a mix of content for your newsletters. But again, the most important thing is what types of emails do you want to send and thinking through how often you should send them. And again, for people that are just getting started, monthly emails would be plenty ambitious to start with. We do 2 a week, and then we also do our local segmented emails. Again, but we're a full-time digital marketing content machine, and that's different from what you guys are doing on your side. Any questions, Lauren, before I get back to?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, good. So this is the core of the presentation that I'm excited about because many of you are already sending out emails, whether it's quarterly or weekly or monthly. We want to talk about if you're going to invest the time in doing email, how do you get more people to engage and convert and to become, come into your funnel? So we've identified there's 30 things you can do, and we have a bunch of articles that we're going to send over to you guys, but we summarize this by talking about 5 best practices to really engage and convert. So I'm going to go through each one of these at a time, and then we'll take your questions as we go through. So number 1, and I know I drive Lauren crazy about this and the marketing team, but subject line is so important, and our team is amazing at subject lines. If you look at some of the reasons why people open an email, because I think like me, you probably get 200 emails a day, if not more, 47% of the reason they open it is the subject line. Of course, if it comes from my mom, I'm going to open it. So you want to know who the sender is, or it's coming from my co-founder, I'm going to open it. But it's the subject line that is the invitation and the hook to get you like, yes, I will open this email. So our suggestion on subject line is definitely want to keep it short. You don't want it to be like kind of running down the line. You really want it to be clear. I like cleverness, and you can use humor and other things, other hooks to get people in, but really clear about what the email is. So it's not clickbaity, like you say something and then the content of the email is different. If you add personalization, sometimes we do this in our emails, the open rate is higher. So for example, you've been credited by Kehoe Designs. And again, they know Kehoe Designs, which is a leading design company in Chicago, and they're more likely to open it. Listicles, I'm telling you, it works. So if you have any content around lists, people do tend to open those things. And then you can also ask a thoughtful question. And I really think using powerful language that's engaging is important. And so do not just write like the contents of your email or your newsletter. think about a hook that could get people in. So just a few examples of high performing subject lines for PartySlate's email, like Cinco de Mayo isn't canceled. Again, it's a little, very powerful. Like there's going to be something behind that I want to see. Using like big brand names like Lululemon's Epic Launch Party, 5 more top events of the week. That was very high performing. A list, 13 reasons to choose hydrangeas for your centerpieces, also high performing. And then I just look through my emails because I sign up for like Thrill List and all these other, Jet Setter. I know Lauren and I like that email.
Love Jet Setter.
Yeah, like very good timing. The absolute best movies on Amazon to stream right now. So again, powerful language. Of course, everyone loves Dr. Fauci. Why should Dr. Fauci #go later? Where should he go later? Like places he wants to go. Again, a little clever. The best, worst, and weirdest quarantine fashion trends. Again, use something that has a little bit of a hook that will interest people to learn more.
Right. I think the key is not giving everything away in the subject line. And we just got a clarification about what is a numbered list. If you go back one, Julie,
yeah.
There's a couple examples. So the 13 reasons to choose hydrangeas, that's alluding to this list in that screenshot. That's actually a list of the 13 ways you can use hydrangea wedding centerpieces. So it's just an enticing way to get people to click through to see more content.
Yeah. So like if you're an event planner in New York, you could write a short blog entry on, again, I know venue relationships are you have to be careful about it because you don't want to show favorites, but you could say, 7 of my favorite New York venues, something like that. Like, again, people want to hear about lists. And again, for whatever reason, odd numbers do better than even numbers. I can't tell you why, but that's just a fact. So you might want to think about writing some listicles for your blog. Okay, so we talked the second thing is about segmentation, and I don't want to kind of, hit you over the head with this, but segmentation can be as simple as we do this kind of invite on credit email where if someone credits you, you can say, hey, the Plaza Hotel, New York uses PartySlate to showcase their events. They invited you to join PartySlate, accept this invitation, blah, blah, blah. And so anything you can do to personalize it with either someone they know or again, even with their own name, it's more likely that it's going to feel personal versus kind of a mass email. So naming the company that referred the company, we saw kind of a 3x increase in engagement just by naming that other company. So again, something to think about is how can you make your emails more personalized to drive engagement so it doesn't feel like a mass email. The third thing I'll say, and we're doing all these incredible digital events, I really feel during this challenging time, it's kind of our mission and it's my passion to share all our digital knowledge with this industry and help everyone get through this tough time. And so we're offering a lot of value, and we hope and we know in return that it's going to build PartySlate's brand and it's going to help raise awareness of our platform. And so a few ways you can offer value to get people to incentivize action or click-throughs is offer a free consulting session. I know some planners in New York are helping brides at no charge to think through postponing their events. Webinars that people might find useful, educational content, trend articles, anything that's valuable and viewed not just as selling something really drives click-through. So I know with this Mindy Weiss event that we did, we had over 1,500 people register for this. And yes, she is a marquee name in the industry and people want to hear what she has to say, but we also put her front and center with an image of her and a strong call to action to register here. And that was a very successful campaign.
I think we're getting a question, which is a good one, about permission to use people's names or like Mindy's photo, for example, in that previous slide. And I think we can send out some best practice links there too. But one thing to note is PartySlate always gets approval for those things like the Mindy photos. And if we use any, event company's name, they're already part of the PartySlate platform. So we are very, very cautious of that. And Julie, I don't know if you want to add to that at all, but
again, with Mindy, or, we recently did with Lynn Easton, or, anyone you're doing an event with, you want them to approve the creative, the copy. You want them to approve social media. I would never, ever do anything without approval. What we don't get approval on is if you post an event to your PartySlate profile and you credit your event partners. We have never in the last 4 years ever had a complaint and saying, hey, Kehoe Designs credited you. In fact, we get an outpouring of thank yous and saying, oh, that was so nice of Kehoe to credit us. I love getting these emails that I'm getting kind of free advertising that Kehoe's crediting me, the link is going through. But yeah, anything like this where you have a graphic, I would always get it approved by the person you're doing it with. It's a good question. Okay, number 4, I really feel strongly about a clear call to action in like marketing speak. It's called a CTA, call to action. You really want to know, especially on your promotional emails, so like you have a webinar or you have an event coming up, what is your main objective of that email? And so this is just an example of Chartio, which is a geeky analytics platform that we use, which is amazing. They sent an invitation to schedule a demo. So their main incentive is for that person to schedule a demo with Chartio to learn more. So you really want to make sure you have, I sometimes call them big dumb buttons. Like it's not bad design. You have to have these buttons that are like so clear. And again, you don't have to only use buttons. I think many times we have view more, and especially if you have a newsletter, you don't want like big button, big button, big button. So you want to think, what is your primary call to action? And that can be your big button. And then you can have other links within the copy.
And I think this industry is so photo driven. Our photos are always clickable too, because if you're scrolling on your phone, you think about the way you look at emails, you may just click on a photo and expect it to click through. So that's something to note is when you use photos in your emails, make sure those click through also.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say on the next one is investing in great design. And again, I know it's something that's our business. So, we truly believe that, our mission is to bring all the great work that you do and bring it to life on PartySlate and be kind of the Vogue of event design in our newsletters. We often look at how Vogue markets in their newsletters and other really amazing fashion sites because we really view our events as fashion and trends, and that's the spotlight for us that we really get excited about. And because many of you are creative and in a creative industry, I would not underestimate the importance of having a beautifully designed email. And you want to think about like your content hierarchy. So you may have a main message at the top and then some sub areas. The photos are so important that you choose in your email. Even if you didn't have any copy, and of course, copy and photos go together. So I'm not suggesting no copy, but really great photos are important. And for us right now, we're leaning more towards the smaller, we still call them inspired, professionally planned events, but the smaller events because we want to be timely with and hesitant to share some of these bigger events when people can't host them. At the same time, on PartySlate, people are still dreaming about those events and they're still looking for, I'm going to have my big event, it's just going to be pushed out. But in the newsletter specifically, we want to be a little bit more sensitive to that. So choose visually arresting photos. And of course, you have to optimize for mobile. So make sure you're actually looking at your email newsletters and what they look like on the phone, and especially like the call to actions. They have to be clickable with your thumb or your finger. So you need to make sure it's large enough that you can actually do that. So those were the 5 ways to drive engagement. Another very, very important thing is growing your list. And I probably should have added a slide about cleaning up your list as well. Even before you start growing your list, you need to think about cleaning up your list. So for example, there could be people in your list that have not opened up an email for the last 10 years. And you might want to think about scrubbing your list a little bit. But when you start to think about growing your list, the single best way to grow your list is to drive people either through pop-ups on your site. And I like to say beautifully designed pop-ups. You don't want them to be like, sign up, and maybe wait 30 seconds, a minute before you pop up to sign up. So I think some of the e-commerce sites, and I get it because they're e-commerce, the second you get to the site, they're asking you for your email address, and maybe that's okay for e-commerce. I am not sure for our industry if it has to be like the first 5 seconds that you're asking for the email, but that's your business decision to make. You should also always have a way in your footer that they can sign up for your email, really in any place on your site. And we've been experimenting with using social media to recruit subscribers. That's something you might also want to test. If you can drive people to, like, with great content on your Insta stories, and then you could say, subscribe to my newsletter. It's something that may be another way to grow your list. But I think the single best way is to really offer exclusive content in exchange for your email. So if, for example, an exclusive webinar, they have to give your email address to register. And then I also think maybe not enough, we're not asking for referrals from your past clients. So if you just had a fabulous event, you may ask your client, like, hey, are there other people that you think could use my services, and try to build your list that way. Of course, it's always opt-in. You would want to ask for an introduction from that client.
And we got a great question that I think Chelsea is behind the scenes is going to weigh in on, but specifically how you make photos clickable and iPhone friendly. So it has to do with the design and just the way that you choose to make your design mobile friendly. But Julia, if you wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think most of the great platforms out there are already responsively designing your emails. And so when you create a template, especially, like, again, MailChimp, Constant Contact, over 50% are going to read it on a mobile phone. So it's already going to be designed, but there's very simple things that you can do to ensure it's working well and it's responsibly designed, make it easy for you.
Great. And I think one more question pertaining to the swipe up on Instagram stories. Of course, you can only do that if you have more than 10,000 followers, although we're hopeful that Instagram might change that. But how do you get people from social media to engage with you and subscribe to your newsletter if you can't do a swipe up on Insta stories?
So if you can't do a swipe up, if you have some really valuable content that you're sharing that's really compelling, you can always say link in bio, and using your kind of link tree or whatever you use to drive people through normally from social media. And once you get them to your website again, then you're going to have your pop-up, you're going to have other ways to engage them and to get their email address. But I think it really does come back to content strategy. If you have valuable content strong enough that they will link in bio to your website, you have a good shot that you could promote your email list to them at that time. And I do know Facebook has a direct, and I'm not an expert on this, so maybe Chelsea can tell people more about that. I know Facebook does have a way you can build your list directly in Facebook, but I have not used that before.
We'll let Chelsea weigh in on that behind the scenes.
Chelsea's like the puppet master behind the scenes. Okay, so let's talk about metrics. And again, I do not want to overwhelm people with our Chartio dashboards and everything we do on our side being sophisticated digital marketers. But I will say one thing you can do that's pretty easy is, set some benchmarks for like open rates and click-through rates. Ask your friendors, your event network, and people that you work with a lot. Some people will be willing to share. You don't have to ask your competitors, but you can ask people that are in, collaborators on events, what their open rate is, and kind of get a good sense for what a general open rate is for your category or for the industry. But the things you really want to track is open rate. And that's really directly tied to how effective your subject lines are. So if you have a team of people, you might want to have like a little contest on like subject line ideas and things like that. Like that is how important the subject line is. Your click-through rate, how strong your call to action is. Your conversion rate is, again, a little bit more difficult to track, but if you have Google Analytics in place and you see how many people came from an email to your website and then actually contacted you, that's what we would call a conversion rate. And then you want to see what your unsubscribes are. And so your email open rate is a very simple formula, and you actually have your email platform can measure it for you, but it's the number of emails opened divided by the number of emails sent minus the number of emails bounced. So the bounced emails, like let's say it's a bad email address, that doesn't even count in your formula. And again, the basic metrics of email marketing, I think the two you should focus on is just open rate and click-through rate. Those are the two things that really show have great content. So extra credit not to overwhelm, but I'm excited about these areas, is how you can improve these emails. And again, with the platforms you're using, very, very simple A/B testing. And so thank you to Chelsea, who is really helping PartySlate on this. We've been A/B testing subject lines, and some things I'm like, oh, I'm sure this one will do better. And of course, it's the other one that does better, because we don't always know what people are going to respond to. You can test different content types. You can test different calls to action. And you don't even have to do A/B testing. Let's say that's too overwhelming to do 2 different emails. You can even do like 1 month, I'm going to try this type of call to action. And another month, I'm going to try another call to action. And also send times. And I think people may focus a little bit too much on what time of the day is the right time to send it, because at the end of the day, people are checking emails all different times. But there are some times, and again, Chelsea would know more, that are better to send emails than others. Like I wouldn't probably send an email Friday night at 5 o'clock.
Right. And I think it depends who you're sending it to. It goes back to your segments. Like if you know that you're sending to your peers in the industry on a Saturday when many people traditionally, in another time are setting up for an event, maybe that's not the best time to send your email. So thinking about it from that perspective is helpful too.
Yes. And I know some people are asking, as I'm skimming through, like, what are good open rates for beginners? It's so different depending on what industry you're in and how old your list is and all that different things. So my suggestion, again, if you're getting a 50% open rate, that is amazing. So again, don't expect 90%. Like again, that would be, a 90% open rate might be like you ordered something from Amazon.com and you're getting like a shipping confirmation. Like you want to make sure, like those type of transactional emails have a very, very high open rate. But as a newsletter, 50% would be very, very high. And I think, you would hope to get over 10 to 20% as far as open rates. So I don't know if you want to add to that, Lauren.
Yeah, I think, it's not the best answer to hear, but it really does depend. And I think back to Julie's point of benchmarking and understanding what your peers are doing and what success for them looks like is the best way to get started.
Yep. So really quickly, I will summarize all of these amazing kind of best practices and what we do at PartySlate. And again, knowing that we have a full-time email marketing team, a full-time SEO team, so we're a content marketing machine. But again, you can take some of the practices and then translate that for your business. So we have a very, very successful kind of content-rich newsletter program. We started off with just one a week, kind of a main newsletter that has recent articles, sponsored content for premium members, trends, things like that. The open rate is very high. The engagement is high. We layered on, we were a little worried, like, is this too much? A top events of the week newsletter, kind of like events are coming in from all over the country, all over the world. Which are the events that are getting the most views and trending on PartySlate? That has been very successful too. So we did not get a lot of unsubscribes, and we get very few unsubscribes after layering on that top one. The sure thing to know if you're sending bad content and too often is your unsubscribe is going to go up. Our editor, who's an incredible writer, shout out to Pamela, does a quarterly letter from the editor, and I think we'd love her to do it monthly. She gets nervous when we ask her to do more, but she does a very, very personal, kind of heartfelt newsletter, and it's very, very widely read. And so this is something like you could explore, like, do you twice a year kind of have a letter from the owner or a letter from the founder, or more of a personal letter to the industry? I wouldn't say we were surprised, but we were pleasantly, I guess we were excited to see how many people reacted to that really personal newsletter that Pamela writes. So I think that, again, explore doing these kind of things.
And I think a great way, if you're wondering when should you do those, a lot of founders or business owners do them at the beginning of the year or around a specific holiday, and we'll include that in the content strategy deck that we can send out after this as well.
Yeah, so you always want to think about seasonal things like that. So, and then the other thing that we're doing on the consumer side or the party host side is what we're calling drip email campaigns. And what we mean by drip email campaigns is there's an activity that happens. So for example, a new couple or a bride or a groom comes on, they register, they say the date of their event, they're new to PartySlate, and then we send a series of drip emails that are based on kind of a trigger on when they registered, when the date of their event is. And so again, this is a little bit more of like the advanced marketing, but we go through kind of all the phases of, welcome to PartySlate. Let's celebrate. First things first. Let's help you think about your venue, building your team, your timeline. Again, just ways to engage them and bring them back to PartySlate. We also do the same for event professionals. As most of you know on the call, as an event professional or venue, you can create a free profile page on PartySlate. If you need help, we have white glove service and can help you promote your business on PartySlate. But we also have kind of campaigns, welcome emails, bringing you into the PartySlate family. And so these are things that we just started doing over the last year. And again, because they're personalized for the specific group, the click-through rates are a lot higher. And again, Lauren, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just that we're actually going to segment even further. And with Chelsea here now, we're excited to continue to work on these. The screenshots you see there are beautiful welcome emails for consumers when they register. So really excited about these.
And our consumers, again, are our party hosts, so the brides and grooms, mitzvah moms, gala hosts, and of course, corporate planners.
Right.
And then we talked before about the promotional emails. Promotional emails are really amazing for if you have an event, or if you have, like, let's say we wanted to push like an Insta Live we're doing, very highly targeted. I think those are better with just kind of a short note and then a call to action with an image. And again, you can explore even doing without an image. It can also be an email campaign that just looks like a personal email and a strong call to action. Sometimes those are very, very valuable as well. And then the last kind of email that we send is what we call a product email. And that's really more about new things on PartySlate. And we are actually in the process of redesigning these product emails as well. But these type of emails are like, hey, now if you're a premium member, you have 5 cover photos. That's a new feature that I've been asking for a long time. But I love our product team. They are cranking out new product every 2 weeks. And this is a new feature that just launched. So if you're a premium member, you can have up to 5 cover photos, which is amazing if you do mitzvahs, galas, weddings, etc. But also during this time of COVID, showing smaller events, not just large events, and mixing your services in here. So this is an example of a very targeted, hey, this is new at PartySlate, and come check it out. And so one thing I'll emphasize as I kind of wrap up this section is that email is just one component of your content marketing strategy. So at PartySlate, everything starts at your profile page. The content comes in, you build a beautiful page, videos, events, anything, any way you want to set up your brand. In minutes, you can create this beautiful profile. And from there, we choose events to feature an editorial, our newsletter, so push out to social media. And then when we have these amazing listicles or features that we do, oftentimes we get PR as PartySlate and can even push out that message even further. And of course, I have to mention Google. Google obviously can't search emails, but typically your content in your emails is linking to either a blog entry or a real event on PartySlate. SEO is a huge part of our strategy as well. I know I could talk for 2 or 3 hours about search engine optimization. We have a great recording of our SEO talk from a couple weeks ago. I don't even know what day it is, but email is an important part of it. And I guess the best thing I can say is if this overwhelms you, we are happy to help you with your content marketing through your PartySlate profile, but just think simple, start simple. Once a month, and if you can't think once a month, once a quarter is okay too, but just know you have worked so hard to create your network and to create your list. If it's 100 names or 2,000 names, it is a valuable asset, and you should be leveraging that asset to build your business. So I'm gonna jump onto our email marketing action plan unless there's any questions, Lauren.
Not seeing any yet. I'll grab some.
Okay, so to get started, then we're going to do questions at the end. Number 1, perform a basic email audit. Well, number 1, do you have a platform or not? And if you don't have a platform, again, and you're not ready to get a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, that's okay. Just know if you send too many emails a day through Gmail or through your email platform, you can get kicked out of Gmail. You can get blackballed. And I know that's happened before. Define your audiences. Just think about 2. Maybe it's just prospects and clients and event professionals. And then the second step is create a simple content calendar. And in our email planning template, we have some sample calendars, and you can use that. It does not, it can be Google Sheets. It does not have to be fancy, but you want to think about what are all the pieces of content you already have, and what can you write about that makes kind of for a compelling newsletter. And then really, again, extra credit is really scheduling, those in advance. Again, that's not something you have to do, but schedule time each month to review your results, to track your open rates and conversions. And once you feel confident with that, you can really start using some tactics to grow your list. And I think many of you already have a big list of contacts. I know LinkedIn, another one of my favorites, is another way you can build your list. So there's multiple ways you can build your list once you have a plan in place. And so if I could break it down for the most simple, think about what content do you have to share that's interesting and compelling, and how can you have an amazing subject line? How can you come up with a plan for how often you're going to send that? And then how are you going to measure that you're doing better? And either it's, again, just do subject lines to start. Keep the newsletter the same, and just explore how your subject lines do, and test those. That is really what you need to get started. So how we can help, and then I'll take some questions, is number one, our marketing team, that's much smarter than I am, created an amazing email strategy template. We are happy to send that to you if you would like that. On the PartySlate side, unrelated to email, we are happy to create a free profile for you or optimize the profile that you have. Again, if you are interested in our white glove service, we can jump on a call and see what makes sense. And then also we have some email examples. I know I'm biased, PartySlate is one of them, but that are best practice examples of like a well-designed template. And also the brands that you love, like let's say your magazines or your e-commerce sites, really sign up for those emails, because I know Lauren and I, we love Jet Setter. Like there's so many emails that are just so amazing. I have no problem, copying or emulating amazing templates that are already out there today. Again, there's just only so much you can do in an email. Like most emails are very similar. Okay, I'm gonna take a breath. The next digital event we're doing, based on very popular demand of my first webinar, which is how to build your digital network, is a deep dive into LinkedIn and building a best practice profile, building your network, and actually using LinkedIn to target new contacts and people that you want to connect with. So that is next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We're also going to continue doing amazing Instagram Live. So I had Lynn Easton, who is amazing, last week. And Lauren, can we share our next one or not yet?
Yeah, we have two great ones this week. Okay. So for Top Chef fans out there, I'm a nerdy Top Chef fan. We have Fabio Viviani, who's an amazing, amazing restaurant owner. So he's going to take us behind the scenes of how his businesses have shifted during this crazy time. That's tomorrow. And then we have Ben Higgins from The Bachelor. Again, I'm not afraid to say that I love The Bachelor. I know Julie does too. And
Guilty pleasure.
And Ben is recently engaged, so we're going to talk to him about what it's been like to be engaged during this crazy time, and that's on Thursday. So lots of exciting stuff. I'm already seeing that people are thrilled about the LinkedIn topic for next week. So
okay, I'm a LinkedIn geek. Again, trust me, Instagram, most important to us, but do not forget about LinkedIn. It's like almost kind of free organic traffic and so easy to use. And it's LinkedIn often says our biggest competitor is LinkedIn, because the free offerings from LinkedIn, very, very compelling offering. So you don't have to even be a premium member of LinkedIn to get all their great services. So I'm very excited. And then one thing I'll remind you on is we do have all of our digital events recorded. And so even all like with the dog and the kids running in, those are all recorded for your laugh at your viewing pleasure. Everything we've done over the last 7 weeks, I think this is our 8th one, which is great. So last week was very popular on your website redesign, getting published, the fireside chat with Mindy. We did have a few technical problems. We broke the internet, but we're back on Zoom. SEO, your Instagram best practices, and then how to organize your photos was also very popular. And then the first one we did about your network, it did have about a third of it was LinkedIn. This next one we're doing is 100% LinkedIn, geeking out on LinkedIn.
I can't believe how many of these have already been done. This is incredible. Yes. We are very, very excited for next week.
Yeah, and then one other thing while we were on PartySlate, I'll say on email marketing best I don't think I'm logged in, but one thing we do to get consumers to log in is after 30 seconds or so, it used to be 45 seconds, we moved it back to 30 seconds. We really encourage people to unlock the full potential of PartySlate by registering. And when they register, we get their email address. Another thing we do, again, we try to engage people with our content, all types of events, our editorial, but all the way at the bottom, we also have an easy call to action to subscribe to our email newsletter. So you want multiple ways. The pop-up is definitely more intrusive, but it is more effective, to be honest, on getting those email addresses. And then again, if you don't have a great email marketing program, do not do a pop-up. Like, it's not even worth doing that pop-up until you have kind of a regular rhythm of your email program, because if you get their email address and then your first email is like 6 months down the road, you're going to get a big unsubscribe. So wait till you have a program in place before. Of course, you should always have a way to subscribe on your site, but the pop-up is a little more intrusive, but it does work.
It does work.
Yeah. And then our best of section is, you guys know, is where we have all our webinars, and we can link you directly to them, but we also have a lot of other amazing content. And, you know, we're really trying to be very thoughtful, and Lauren and her team have been incredible. We're in this crisis. We're in this time of a lot of you guys are hurting. Our business has been impacted. People that are planning these events are kind of in limbo about postponing. And so we're trying to give both uplifting content, but also things they can do, like finding your event venue without leaving your couch, and great heartfelt stories about people that are getting married during this time of crisis. So it's an interesting time, but I'm proud of our team for really adjusting to the time, for supporting the industry, and also putting a spotlight on the amazing things that you guys are doing. So proud of our team. Go Lauren.
Proud of us too. I think, and the one other thing I'll add, and we actually don't have any questions, Julie. We'd asked so many during the presentation, which were awesome. But we want to hear from you what other topics you'd like us to cover. I think we'll never run out of topics. We have plenty of ideas, but we want to do what's most helpful for you guys. So feel free to send an email to that digital events email that Kylie put in the chat, or directly to Julie or myself.
Yeah, I think some topics we've talked about is kind of using video in your digital marketing mix. We've talked about Pinterest as another topic. We've talked about kind of your PartySlate profile, optimizing that. You know, when you go back to kind of that first slide that I had all of these different digital touch points, we really have taken it upon ourselves to be experts in all of these areas. And any way we can help kind of raise, you know, the bar on digital, we want to help do that. And of course, we want to make all those things really easy on PartySlate for you. That's all I got. Any other questions? Yeah, so if you have any thoughts for us, you can always email me, Julie at partyslate.com, and then we will send out a follow-up link after this webinar with the recording. And then again, we're also happy to send out the email planning template. Again, these are not meant to be overwhelming. They're just simple Google Sheets with resources and planning tools to make it easy. And also, if you want to send us your email, one of your emails, I'm happy to look at your email and give you feedback on that. Again, it takes us 2 seconds to do that. And I'm a total digital geek. Like, I like doing those things. I guess it's my 20 plus years of digital consulting. I'm always thinking about ways to help, even if it's outside of PartySlate. So just let us know what we can do to be helpful. And we thank you for your time and for joining us. And I, again, want to give a shout out to Kylie and Lauren, and definitely Chelsea, who's our email rock star, and then Amanda, who promotes this on social media. Such a great team. And I am proud of everyone for adjusting to this new world we're living in. And I guess the silver lining is, you know, finding this kind of way we can help the industry with digital events is something we may not have done had the crisis not hit. So my daughter keeps saying, you know, why do you keep saying silver lining every day? I'm like, you know what, during this time of pain and a lot of people are stressed and anxious, you have to look for silver linings. So our silver linings is this passion around digital education and helping everyone have stronger digital brands. So when we come out of this, we're going to all be stronger companies together. So that's all I have. And thank you everyone. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren, just being here with me helps me present better. So thank you, Lauren, for your help.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, and appreciate all you guys spending your afternoon with us.
Thanks so much. We'll see everyone next week.
Bye, everyone.